Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for June 11, 2025, a Bondi Too Far edition. And we begin with that story from Reuters as Attorney General Pam Bondi's brother, Brad Bondi, lost his bid to lead the Washington Attorneys Bar Association in perhaps the most closely watched bar association election ever. Bondi was eviscerated in the election as his opponent secured more than 90% of the vote. The pretty clear rejection of the Attorney General and her brother. Next up, major news from the Department of Justice, from the Deputy Attorney General, yes, the DAG himself, Todd Blanche. We have the Blanche Memo, which is guidelines for investigations and enforcement of the FCPA. This is in response to President Trump's suspension of the FCPA back in February, and now we have some new factors to consider, new priorities from the Department of Justice. Matt Kelly and I took a deep dive into it in Compliance Into the Weeds, so if you'd really like to take a deep dive into it, I'd suggest you check out our podcast. The bottom line is that national security issues will be much more prominent in FCPA enforcement going forward. This can be extractive minerals, it can be infrastructure, potentially even software. And that de minimis bribes or low dollar payments, which are generally accepted business courtesies, will not be a focus of the FCPA. All of these will be considered for new cases, although cases that are currently getting ready for trial may not have these factors in them. So, major news from the DOJ. Next up, from the New York Times, the EU has unveiled its latest package of sanctions against Russia, aiming to apply maximum or at least more pressure on President Putin by damaging Russia's energy and banking sector. The sanctions would ban transactions with the Nord Stream pipeline, hoping to choke off future flows of energy from Russia into Europe. Obviously, this will hurt Europe, but this would lower the price cap at which Russian gas can be purchased on global markets, hoping to chip away at Russian revenues. And our final story comes to us from the Financial Times, which reports that the U.S. and Switzerland have ended a years-long stalemate over sharing information about client investments, a step that will allow Washington greater visibility into assets held in the European banking hub. The agreement comes amid regulatory examinations of at least 8 Swiss companies that do business through a U.S.-regulated industry. The SEC exams included smaller managers as well as larger investment groups going forward. So this is really a major breakthrough. Both countries have a complicated relationship over their American clients who have long stashed assets in Swiss bank accounts to avoid U.S. taxes. The U.S. lifted a moratorium on approvals of new Swiss investment advisors to pursue lucrative wealth management business as part of a quid pro quo for this deal with the Swiss to have visibility into customers. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.